23 years ago, when I turned 30, I was sitting outside a bar on Shedar Road called Roxy Jr. with a slightly confused look on my face. My late wife, Queenie, came up to me and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know what's next." She said, "What do you mean?" See, I didn't really expect to live past 30 years old. I grew up on the edge of Africa in a place called Durban. I grew up in a beautiful house in the suburbs in a cul-de-sac. We lived next to the bush on one side, on the other side there was a house. But the most dangerous things in Africa are not the snakes, and we've got lots of snakes. They're not the lions, we've got lots of lions. And they're not the tigers, because tigers don't live in Africa, just so you know. The most dangerous thing in Africa are the people. When I graduated college, the city where I grew up in, Durban, was probably one of the most violent and dangerous cities in the world at the time. But I remember even before I got to college, when I was a young boy, I was lying in bed at night. And I don't remember this because I was sleeping. But my mother tells the story that there was imminent danger outside our home, domestic violence. And my mother feared for the lives of myself and my sister. So she ran into our bedrooms, and in her words, she says, "I drew a circle around you, and I pray to God that He would keep my children safe, both myself and my sister." And I believe that prayer has been powerful throughout my life. As I said, I didn't expect to get past 30. Since that day until now, my sister and I, we've probably lived 1 million miles, traveled 1 million miles, and sometimes it feels like we've lived 1 million years. We've both lost people close to us. 22 years ago, my sister lost her baby from a disease called spinal muscular atrophy, type 1. He was 8 months old. And 2 years ago, I lost my wife. But even before all that pain, in South Africa, I faced a lot of struggles and difficulties. Durban is a beautiful place. If you look on the map or the pictures on Google, you just see these beautiful, pristine beaches. But by the time I got to Taiwan, I had served in the military, which was pretty violent. I remember when I was 18 years old in the military, I was a medic in the army. And we had to go into this township called Umlazi, which is on the south side of Durban. And deep inside Umlazi was a shanty town called Malakazi. And because I was the medic, they called me into the township at night. It was so dark, I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. And when I got to where they wanted me to be, there was a burned body. The first dead body I ever saw, but completely burned. By the time I got to Taiwan when I was 28 years old, I'd faced down the barrel of 5 guns. I'd nearly been stabbed. I'd been in a lot of car accidents. One was totaled. And yet, through all this violence, through all these difficulties, through all these struggles in life, I walked out of it unscathed, not injured once. Even the time I stupidly decided to fight with 10 people at once. Okay, I got a little bit of a cut on my face. But the truth is that when I look back on my life, and I look at that, like, why didn't anything really difficult happen to me? Why have I been so healthy? Why haven't I ever really been sick? Why have I never really been hurt when I should have been hurt? I often think back to my mother's prayer when she put that circle around my sister and myself. There was another mother many, many years ago. I think it was about, 1,600 years ago. Her name was Monica. And the city in California called Santa Monica is named after her. And Monica was the mother of St. Augustine. And Monica grew up with an abusive pagan husband. Well, not grew up with, but she had an abusive pagan husband. And her son was running around doing all these improper things. But his mother, Monica, constantly prayed for her son, Augustine, and her husband. And when Augustine landed up in Rome one day, he met a theologian. And that theologian introduced him to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And Augustine often says that he found his faith in Christ because of his mother's prayers. Augustine became the greatest theologian the church has ever known because of his mother's prayers. And I have stayed safe because of my mother's prayers. And so when I think about this act of praying, I think, what can I do? And now as I stand on the precipice of a new life, mostly alone, I think the one thing I can do is pray for the people I love. And many of you are sitting in this room. Some of them have gone away, like gone to Holland like Sonia, or Vietnam like Gina, but I can still pray for them. Some of them are not here tonight, like Iris. But you are the people I pray for every day. I pray for your lives, and I pray that God would bless you every day. And so the one lesson we can learn from this is that prayer is truly powerful. It can keep children safe. It can make people who are running around crazy into great theologians. But most importantly, it can help us learn, and we can pray that the will of God will come true in the lives of people around us. And so I'd like to encourage you to pray for each other, because that's the greatest gift you can give to anybody, prayer. That's all for that.